I watched my sister collapse during my promotion dinner, then played the video I'd filmed predicting every step of her performance and revealed how far she'd gone to sabotage my life. She collapsed right in the middle of my promotion dinner, clutching her stomach like she was dying. But what happened next changed everything, because I pulled out my phone and hit play on a video I'd recorded 23 minutes earlier, predicting her entire performance, step by step. Let me rewind to how we got here. My younger sister, Eliza, came into the world 6 weeks early, wrapped in wires and blinking beneath fluorescent lights at the neonatal unit in St. Paul's Children's Hospital. For the first 4 years of her life, she was more machine than child: oxygen tanks, feeding tubes, endless alarms. My parents became her full-time caretakers, and my role as big brother morphed into full-time support crew. I gave up sleepovers, birthday parties, even my high school field trip to D.C., because Eliza might need you. At first, I believed the sacrifice was right. She was my fragile, miracle sister. But Eliza healed. She grew stronger, started school, joined Girl Scouts, even did karate for a year. Physically, she was fine. But emotionally, she learned something dangerous. She learned that pain, or even the illusion of it, brought her the world on a silver platter. It started subtly. Headaches on test days. Chest tightness when chores were assigned. Mom would melt. Dad would cancel plans. And I'd get drafted into doing her homework while she snuggled under fleece blankets watching rom-coms. By the time I hit 18, the pattern was ironclad. If I achieved anything meaningful, Eliza would crumble, and the spotlight would swing back to her. When I got my scholarship to Northeastern, she fainted at our dinner celebration, smack into the breadbasket at Morton's Steakhouse. Emergency room. Nothing wrong. When I brought my first girlfriend, Lena, to Thanksgiving, Eliza had a panic attack, so severe she had to be driven home early, leaving me alone to explain Lena's sudden departure. But the worst was when she sabotaged my relationship with Kyle, my boyfriend of almost a year. She fabricated text screenshots where I allegedly called her a liar and said I wish she'd just give up the act and disappear. Kyle broke up with me in the middle of Boston Common, handed me his phone, and told me he couldn't be with someone who hated their dying sister. Eliza sent me a selfie that night, wearing the hoodie Kyle gave me for Christmas. That night, something shifted. No more passive acceptance. No more hoping she'd outgrow the need to be the main character in my story. I began tracking her behavior. I documented it like a case study. And soon, a pattern emerged. Whenever she was in pain, she always grabbed her right side. Never the left. Head, stomach, kidneys, always right. She always called for mom, never dad. Always rated her pain between 8 and 9, never lower, never a perfect 10. And the episodes always resolved in 2 to 3 hours. Long enough to derail anything I was doing. So I decided to fight back. Not with confrontation. With evidence. Last Saturday, at our family's monthly gathering at Aunt Joni's colonial house in Fairfield, I made my move. 21 people packed around her oakwood dining table, and I slipped away just before dinner. Upstairs, in the guest bathroom, I recorded a video. My name is Mason. It's 5:42 p.m. In 20 minutes, I'm going to make a fake announcement. When I do, Eliza will wait exactly 10 seconds, then grab her right side and moan. She'll call for mom, rate her pain an 8 or 9, and request to lie down. If the pattern holds, she'll ask to be taken to the ER within 15 minutes. I came back down, raised my glass, and made the announcement. I've just been promoted to senior campaign director at Winslow and Halpern. It comes with a 35% raise and full stock options. The applause was electric. My uncles pounded the table. My cousins cheered. Even mom's eyes welled with pride. But I wasn't looking at any of them. I was looking at Eliza. And at the exact moment the noise began to die, her fork dropped to her plate. "Are you okay, honey?" Aunt Joni asked. Eliza shook her head with a trembling smile. "Just some pain. It's probably nothing." My heart beat like a drum as she reached for her right side. Right on cue. What happened next would finally tear down the curtain she'd been hiding behind for over a decade. I counted the seconds in my head. 8, 9, 10. Like a trained actress hitting her cue, Eliza curled to the right, her fingertips pressing gently into her ribcage as if testing just how much sympathy she could wring out of the moment. Mom was already out of her chair before Eliza even whispered, "It's getting worse." It was masterful. The timing. The tone. The way she closed her eyes and breathed shallowly like someone trying not to cry. If you didn't know better, you'd think she was a war widow at a memorial service. But I did know better. I'd seen her rehearse this routine too many times, in bathroom mirrors, on staircases, even once in my car's rearview camera when she didn't realize I was watching. As Mom knelt beside her like a worried saint, Dad reached for his keys, already halfway through his sacred litany. Is it sharp? Dull? Burning? It's dull but intense, Eliza murmured, the pain scale question already on deck. Give me a number, honey. She opened one eye slowly and whispered, an 8. No, maybe a 9. My phone was already in my hand, still face down on the table. I didn't touch it yet. Not yet. I needed this to look unplanned, spontaneous, like I just remembered something important in the chaos. She should lie down, Aunt Joni declared. Should I call the ER? Uncle Ray asked. I'll take her to Bayview, Mom said, brushing Eliza's hair back. She's had this kind of episode before. She has, I cut in. Quite a few times, actually. Eliza flinched. It was so fast I almost missed it, but her fingers tensed against her ribs like she'd been poked with a pin. Her eyes flicked toward me, just once, as if to say, don't you dare. But I dared. Before anyone runs off, I said, standing up slowly and finally flipping my phone over. I think everyone should see something. Mason, Eliza croaked, her voice suddenly hoarse. This isn't the time. I think it's exactly the time. The room hushed. Even Aunt Joni, who was halfway to the linen closet for extra blankets, paused with a stack of towels in her hands. I recorded something earlier tonight. Just a hunch, really, I said, unlocking my phone. Something about how every single time I have a milestone moment, Eliza ends up in agony. Eliza's face froze. But her body didn't. She kept holding her side, kept panting, because backing out now would be too suspicious. I hit play. The sound of my own voice filled the room. If you're seeing this, it means I've just announced a fake promotion. Eliza will now grab her right side, call for Mom, rate her pain 8 or 9, and request to be taken to the ER. Watch closely. The air in the dining room turned heavy. My cousin stopped chewing. My uncle leaned forward in his chair. Grandma actually put down her wine glass mid-sip. And then the second layer of the plan unfurled. I tapped a second file. A short montage of clips I'd secretly gathered. From our high school graduation when Eliza collapsed right after I received my honors sash. From my college send-off party where she threw up dramatically beside the cake. Each clip ended the same way. Her holding the right side, her calling for Mom, her whispering, it's an 8. I didn't know. Aunt Joni breathed. She fakes things, I said simply. She's been doing it for years. Always when the attention's not on her. That's not true. Eliza snapped, breaking character for the first time. Oh, I replied, tilting my head. Then maybe you can explain this one. I hit play on the third video, one I'd recorded without her knowing, 6 weeks ago, at my friend Nate's engagement party. She'd been sitting alone in the hallway, not knowing I was around the corner with my phone. In the reflection of a mirror, she was practicing pain. The way she twisted her face. The angle of her hand. She even mouthed words silently, like, Mom, it's bad, and I think I need to lie down. Dad stood slowly. Eliza. This is not fair, Eliza said, her voice shaking now for real. You tricked me. You set me up. No, I said, stepping closer. You set yourself up. I just showed everyone the truth. And Joni sat down hard. Grandma whispered something I couldn't hear. The silence was awful. Like the moment after a car crash, when you're not sure who's alive yet. Then Eliza did the one thing I didn't predict. She stood up, perfectly straight. No more clutching. No more groaning. She stood like nothing was wrong. Everyone noticed. You were faking it, Uncle Ray said softly. Mom's mouth opened and closed like she wanted to speak but didn't know what to say. You made me drive you to the ER 6 times in 1 year, she finally whispered. 6? Do you have any idea, eh? You all ignored me for years. Eliza burst out, voice suddenly shaking. Every time Mason did something right, you acted like he walked on water. I was just the background. The weak one. The sick girl. It was the only way to get you to notice me. Nobody said a word. I didn't want to hurt anyone, she added, almost a whisper now. I just wanted to matter. And for the first time in a decade, I didn't feel anger. I felt something worse. Pity. But that's not where this story ends. Because Eliza didn't just fake pain. She faked betrayal. She poisoned my life, one moment at a time. And I still hadn't shown them the worst part. When I was 16, I made the varsity track team. I wasn't the fastest sprinter, but I had endurance that could crush anyone. That season, I placed first at the county finals. I still remember the feel of the metal ribbon against my sweaty neck and the cheers from the bleachers. But when I turned toward the stands, my parents were already gone. Eliza had passed out in the parking lot 10 minutes into the meet. I biked home alone that night, medal stuffed into my jacket pocket. My victory announcement met with, "We were so worried about Eliza. She was throwing up in pale Mason. Not everything's about you." That night, I stared at my ceiling for hours, trying to understand how someone could love you and still never see you. But now they were seeing, every single one of them. Standing in Aunt Joni's dining room, surrounded by 20 stunned faces, I realized I wasn't finished. Eliza had spent the last decade destroying my credibility, my relationships, my reputation, and I wasn't going to let her walk away with a half apology and a teary "I just wanted attention." Because there was still one more truth they hadn't seen yet. "Eliza," I said, taking a slow breath, "do you remember Kyle?" Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "Do you remember how he broke up with me because of the things you claimed I said about you?" I don't know what you're talking about," she said, too fast. I turned to my parents. He showed me texts. Screenshots of messages I allegedly sent him calling Eliza a faker, a burden, telling him I wished she'd disappear. He said he couldn't be with someone who hated their sick sister. Dad stiffened. "You said you had no idea where those came from." "I didn't," I replied. "Until 2 months ago, when I finally got access to your old laptop." Eliza's hand twitched. It still had her old Google sessions logged in. And Kyle? He wasn't just tricked by screenshots. Eliza created full-on fake profiles. She logged into accounts using my name and picture, wrote the messages herself, and even replied to herself as Kyle to make it feel real. "That's not true," she said, but her voice was hollow now. "I backed it all up," I said, tapping my phone. "Every session, every message, including the one where she asked her friend Abby to pretend to be me online so Kyle would believe the story of my cruel jealousy." I could feel the anger rising in the room now, like heat off asphalt. Grandma, who'd been holding her rosary, set it down with shaking hands. Uncle Ray looked like he was about to be sick. "I loved that man," I said, my voice cracking for the first time. "And she tore him away from me because she couldn't stand to see me happy. Because the second I had something good, she had to destroy it to make sure the spotlight didn't move off her." Eliza said nothing. I stepped closer. "And what about the time you claimed I pushed you down the stairs at college orientation? The sprained wrist you wrapped so tight with gauze, Mom wouldn't let me speak to you for weeks." Mom's face dropped. "She told you that, didn't she?" I asked her. "That I shoved her." "You admitted it was an accident," Mom whispered. "She tripped over her own bag. I wasn't even within arm's reach. But she told everyone I did it in a jealous rage, and you believed her." Eliza finally broke. "Because you had everything," she screamed, her voice raw. "You were perfect. School, friends, boyfriends, jobs, while I had to beg for scraps of attention." I stared at her. "So you decided to take it all away from me." Her eyes were red, her mascara smudged like the aftermath of a storm. "I didn't think it would get this far." "But it did," I said coldly. "You made me doubt myself. You made our parents doubt me. And worse, you turned me into the villain of your pity story. You played sick while I got labeled as bitter, ungrateful, dramatic." Nobody in the room moved. I turned to Dad. "You grounded me the day of prom because Eliza claimed I threatened to ruin her life. That sound familiar?" He didn't speak, just looked at the table like it might save him. "I lost friends. I lost opportunities. I lost years trying to keep the peace while she stole every good thing I had. And then I asked the question I'd been holding in for years. How did none of you see it?" It hung in the air like a challenge, like a thundercloud that refused to break. No one answered. Because they had seen it. They just hadn't wanted to admit what they saw. I took one final breath. "She didn't just fake pain," I said. "She faked being the victim. And every time you believed her, you made her stronger, and you made me smaller." That was when Eliza did the one thing I didn't expect. She dropped to her knees and actually started crying. But this time, there was no audience left. Everyone had turned their backs. But she wasn't finished yet. Not by a long shot. Eliza didn't cry the way she used to. There was no delicate trembling or strategic sniffles. She broke down messy, red-faced, shaking all over. But no one moved to comfort her. Not even Mom. The silence around the table had turned cold. It wasn't just embarrassment or shock anymore. It was something deeper, disgust. And then, Dad stood up. Not slowly. Not hesitantly. He rose like a man who'd been hit by a wave and was finally finding his footing. "Eliza," he said, "I want you to tell everyone right now. Did you fake those messages to Kyle? She looked up at him, mascara streaked down her face. She opened her mouth to speak, but stopped. Eliza, he repeated, voice firmer. Yes or no? Yes, she whispered. The room cracked open. I heard a sharp inhale from Aunt Joni. My cousin Simon muttered, no way. Someone knocked over a glass, but no one moved to clean it up. Did you lie about the stairs? Dad asked. Yes. And about the fainting at your sister's scholarship banquet? Another nod. I turned to Mom, expecting something. Anger, shame, maybe even guilt. But what I saw on her face was worse than any of those. I saw calculation, like she was doing mental math. Eliza, Mom said carefully. Did you fake everything? Every incident? And that's when Eliza looked at her, really looked, and her face twisted into something dark. Twisted. Bitter. No, she said, standing now. Not everything. Not the part where you helped me. Mom blinked. What are you talking about? Oh, come on, Mom, Eliza snapped. Who do you think helped me get those hospital intake forms filled out before Mason's graduation dinner? You drove me to Bayview and said, just don't let them check your vitals or it'll blow the whole thing. You told me to cry in the car and say my pain was a 9 so they'd admit me without tests. The room exploded. What the hell? Dad barked. That's not true, Mom said, eyes wide. I never said. I was 13, Eliza interrupted, and you said if I wanted to be loved the way Mason was, I had to stay fragile. Aunt Joni dropped her fork. My uncle actually stood from his chair. Wait, you knew, he said, voice sharp. She encouraged me, Eliza hissed. Every time Mason had a success, you'd get this look. This, tight, fake smile. And you'd say, well, let's make sure she doesn't get too full of herself. I turned to Mom slowly, the puzzle pieces crashing into place. The way she always dismissed my wins as luck. The way she'd once told me, humility builds character, Mason, after I made the dean's list. The way she'd never once defended me when Eliza pulled her stunts, only ever said, try to understand her. She's fragile. You were in on it, I whispered. Mom shook her head. I didn't mean it like that. I just didn't want Eliza to feel like a failure. So you helped her make me the villain? Eliza was trembling now, not from guilt, but fury. You were her golden child. The one who didn't need anything. You walked in, and the world opened up for you. I had to earn love. Every time I pretended to be in pain, it was just to get what came so naturally to you. That doesn't justify any of it. I snapped. She laughed, high and bitter. Oh, and you've never lied? Never faked something to protect your pride? At least I didn't pretend to be someone I'm not. And that's when it happened. Grandma Betty stood up. Her hands were shaking, but her voice, when she spoke, was sharper than I'd ever heard it. Both of you, enough, she said. Everyone turned to her. Carla, she said, looking at me. Come with me. We stepped into the hallway, the murmur of the others still loud behind us. I need to tell you something, she said. Something about your mother. My breath caught. What do you mean? She looked me in the eye. When your mom was 15, she faked an illness to avoid being sent to boarding school. Her parents, your grandparents, found out. But instead of punishing her, they praised her for being clever. For manipulating the system. They told her that was how women survived in the world. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Your mom didn't just allow Eliza's lies, Grandma said quietly. She passed them down. It all clicked. The emotional favoritism, the subtle digs, the way Mom always knew the hospitals, the symptoms, the exact words that would trigger sympathy. She didn't just fail to stop it, I said slowly. She trained her. Grandma nodded once. You need to get out, Mason. Get as far from this as you can. Back in the dining room, Eliza was still unraveling. Dad had left the table. One of the cousins had started crying. Mom sat, hands in her lap, staring at nothing. I walked back in. Calm. Cold. You wanted the spotlight, Eliza? I said. You've got it. Just know, this time, the story's not yours to control. And then I pulled out one final video. The one from the therapist's office. The day Eliza admitted on tape that she enjoyed watching me suffer. And I hit play. The moment I hit play, a faint crackle came through the speaker, then Eliza's voice, soft but unmistakable. I know it's wrong, she said, but when Mason starts smiling like that, like everything in his life is perfect, something inside me just tightens. It's like I want to take the moment and squeeze it until it breaks. The room went silent. Even the clock above Grandma Betty's fireplace stopped ticking, or maybe that was just my heartbeat in my ears. The therapist's voice came next. You feel what when you do that? Power, Eliza answered. Like for once, I matter more than he does. And if I'm being honest, it feels kind of amazing. No one said anything. Not Mom. Not Dad. Not even Eliza. Because the truth was now undeniable. It didn't matter if she cried. It didn't matter if she begged. They'd heard it. All of it. Eliza sat back down like the air had been knocked out of her. Her hands were limp in her lap. Her mouth hung slightly open, like she wanted to say something, but couldn't remember how to lie. I turned to Mom. She didn't look at me. She couldn't. I believed in you, I said. I trusted you to protect me. She blinked, slow and empty. You turned me into the villain, I said. Every time she cried, you made me the monster. Do you know what that does to a kid? Nothing. She just stared at her hands, still as a corpse. Eliza was the sickness, I said, but you were the infection. I picked up my phone, slipped it into my coat pocket. Dad looked at me, broken in a way I'd never seen before. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I didn't see it. No, I replied. You saw it. You just didn't want to deal with it. And with that, I turned and walked to the door. You're just going to leave? Mom finally croaked. Her voice sounded dusty, like it hadn't been used in decades. I looked back over my shoulder. I already did, I said. Outside, the air was bitter. Somewhere a car honked, distant and unimportant. I walked down Aunt Joni's driveway and didn't stop until I hit the main road. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I just felt light. Like I'd been carrying a ghost on my back for years and it had finally let go. In the weeks that followed, the family splintered. Aunt Joni blocked Mom. My cousin stopped inviting Eliza to events. Dad moved into his brother's guest house just to clear his head, though I knew what that really meant. Eliza posted a long, sobbing apology video on Facebook. It went viral for a week. She said she had factitious disorder and trauma bonding, begged for forgiveness, claimed she was doing the work. No one shared it. Mom deleted her Facebook entirely. As for me, I got a real promotion. This time, at a different firm, still marketing, but with people who actually see me. I have a dog now, a husky named Clem. He doesn't care about applause or drama. He just wants walks and peanut butter. And for the first time in my adult life, I have no unread texts from my family. Just silence. The good kind. The kind that feels like peace. Because sometimes, the real illness isn't the one faked in hospital beds, it's the one that grows in the shadow of favoritism, denial, and silence. And sometimes, healing doesn't come from forgiveness. It comes from walking away.